With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories.
A new agency, Nevis Finance, to drive growth and competitiveness in Nevis's financial services sector.
UWP candidate slams St. Lucia government's healthcare system. Grenada benefits from 5.3 million EC dollars in humanitarian aid from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Internationally, Democratic Republic of Congo rebels reportedly capture most of Goma.
Now, the details.
The Health Promotion Unit within the Ministry of Health in Nevis is reminding parents that hand, foot and mouth disease is highly contagious as the number of diagnosed cases continues to rise on the island. In recent weeks, the Federation has reported an increasing number of cases, primarily affecting children.
There is, ladies and gentlemen, currently an outbreak, I'm sad to say, of hand, foot and mouth disease in the Federation. In Nevis, we have had 32 known cases, 19 males and 13 females.
The disease typically causes painful sores on the hands, feet, and mouth, which can be uncomfortable and distressing for young ones.
The symptoms include fever, mouth sores, and rash on hands, feet, and sometimes buttocks. Even though children are usually affected, we are encouraging everyone to wash your hands often for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. Disinfect surfaces using chlorine-based disinfectants. Cleaning regularly to disinfect toys, doorknobs, switches, countertops, and other highly touched areas. Avoid close contact where possible. Practice good hygiene. And I notice that some people now are choosing to wear a mask.
Premier Mark Brantley has urged residents to take precautions to protect themselves and their children, emphasizing that kids are typically in close contact with each other, making the spread of the HFMD more likely.
Whatever you can do to protect yourself. We are accustomed to this from COVID. It taught us what we needed to do to protect ourselves from these types of respiratory and gastroenteritis that affect our gastric system or our respiratory system. And so I encourage you to do that. I should tell you that the Ministry of Education has been responsive. We have sadly had to close 2 preschools for 2 days, 2 government preschools, I think the Combermere and Ines France. We had also had to close a private preschool as well. All of them have since reopened, but when we closed, we did a deep clean and we ensured that the area was prepared. The Ministry of Education is working very closely with the Ministry of Health. As we know, this disease, hand, foot, and mouth disease, is predominant in children. It can affect adults as well, but it's predominant in children. And children, as we know, they play with each other, they touch each other, they cough, they do all of these things. And so we are encouraging the parents to be proactive. When we find children who are tested positive, we send them home. We ask their parents to try to isolate them at home. And they are only reintegrated into the school population once they've been cleared by our medical team.
He also expressed concern that some parents are knowingly sending their sick children to school, further increasing the risk of transmission.
Having said that, members of the press, members of the public know that I have always implored our people to be responsible. And I was quite dismayed to have reports that some parents, even knowing that their children have this disease, have nevertheless sent their child to school. And their argument is that they have no one to keep the child. I am saying to you that your child is your responsibility. People may not want to hear me say it, but your child is your responsibility. It is nobody else's responsibility. We have them, we have a duty to take care of them. And to send your sick child back to school to potentially infect other children is irresponsible behavior.
The growth of the financial services sector is an integral part of Nevis's economy and development, explained the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, at his January 28th press conference. According to the Premier, the government is consulting on introducing a new agency called Nevis Finance to help boost the marketing efforts of the Nevis international financial services sector and make it a more attractive hub for businesses seeking to operate within the sector. Nevis Finance is also expected to ensure Nevis's status as a powerhouse for financial services in the region.
The financial services sector continues to be a strong pillar of development for the island. There has been a steady increase in new business registrations, and we now have 46 trust and corporate service providers that currently operate in the sector. We have seen an increase in the revenue collected from the sector, which was up by $1.29 million to $16.88 million in 2024. Market in this sector, you would agree with me, is critical. And so, I'm here to announce that very early this year, we intend to create a special agency called Nevis Finance to champion the marketing efforts. This agency will replace the Nevis Financial Services, the Nevis Financial Services sector marketing efforts on par with some of the other jurisdictions in the region. In establishing this agency, we intend to recruit a chief operations officer to run the agency, and we intend to have closer collaboration with the private sector.
The Nevis financial services sector had seen a decline in 2019, but the Premier gave notice that decisions would be made to address the situation. Assistance was solicited from the Caribbean Regional Technical Center to conduct a high-level review of the regulatory and supervisory frameworks for international banks in Nevis, including a review of the regulations and legislations. Upon completion of the review, the legislations were amended to incorporate the recommendations made by the Caribbean Regional Technical Center. The amendments sought to ensure that the financial services industry in Nevis remains current, modern, and competitive. The Nevis Business Corporation Amendment Bill 2023 and the Nevis Limited Liability Company Amendment Bill 2023 were passed in the Nevis Island Assembly on August 24, 2023. Meanwhile, the Society for Trust and Estate Practitioners, STEP, will host a Caribbean conference in May 2025 at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, where financial experts will come together to discuss matters pertinent to the sector and showcase what the financial services sector has to offer on the island of Nevis.
Also, as part of our marketing efforts, in May of this year, the Society for Trust and Estate Practitioners, STEP Nevis branch, will be hosting the STEP Caribbean Conference on May 15th to 16th at the Marriott Resort in St. Kitts. And before you ask the question as to why Nevis STEP is hosting a function at the Marriott Resort, it's because we're told that the only other resort that could have accommodated is the Four Seasons, and they're full during that time. And so we have no difficulty. We're taking that business to the Marriott in St. Kitts. It is one federation after all, and we anticipate an excellent conference, May 15th to 16th. And of course, there will be activities on Nevis as well. We are partnering with STEP, and I would want you to know that we had to compete to host this conference, and so Nevis was successful in attracting this conference. I want to put on record my thanks to Helen Lewis, who is a STEP member emeritus. She will coordinate our efforts on this, and we are very grateful that STEP, this prestigious organization, will be hosting this conference here. It gives us certainly an opportunity to showcase what financial services is offering on the island of Nevis.
The conference follows the 40th anniversary of the Nevis International Financial Services sector, celebrated in 2024.
As Social Security works to educate the public about its impending reforms, the organization has been using innovative approaches to engage with the community and discuss upcoming changes. During an appearance on WINN FM's Island Tea on Wednesday, Social Security highlighted key initiatives for 2024. According to Nadia Deming, efforts have been made to attract and inform young people about the proposed changes.
Ability to attract the younger generation. Something Camilla likes to say is that Social Security is not a sexy topic. And most persons, when they hear of Social Security, they automatically assume we are appealing to just the pensioners. But what I like about last year, what we did, we went out on a branch, and again, kudos to Camilla for accepting ideas as to how we can reach the public, not just the elders or the pensioners, but the youth. And what we did something that Social Security have never done, and we went into the feds.
By attending various events, Social Security was able to attract new audiences and spark interest in a topic that is often overlooked by younger demographics.
We had to go where the youth engage and where they like to be. And so Social Security, last year we attended what's it called? Summer Crush,
Yes.
which is a well anticipated and attended event by a lot of young people. And what we did, we strategically captured a position at the event where, you know, as the young people would come in, they would see Social Security there, and it was a drawback for them because a lot of them were like, "What Social Security doing here? What you could offer me Social Security? Man, even 62. Man, ready for a pension? I come to party." But surprisingly, it was they actually came over and they engaged.
In a recent notice, officials urged the public to bring specific documents when assessing Social Security services. Public Relations Manager Camila Lawrence emphasized the importance of ensuring individuals have the necessary paperwork to facilitate smooth processing.
Bring with you your birth certificate, passport, deed poll, anything that certifies your name. That we may not have had it already and we need to authenticate or capture that information. So a birth certificate, divorce decree, deed poll, affidavit, whatever document that supports your name should be brought with you in the original form, of course.
In regional news,
Grenada benefits from 5.3 million EC dollars in humanitarian aid from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Grenada Broadcasting Network has that story.
His Excellency Abdullah Mohammed Al Thani, Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, traveled to Grenada this week to deliver a gift of 21 containers of relief items. The relief supplies, which includes chainsaws, diesel generators, rechargeable flashlights, first aid and hygiene kits, and emergency shelter materials, among other items, have an estimated value of 5.3 million EC dollars. The donation was handed over to Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell during a ceremony on Monday at the Port Authority Welcome Center.
We are honored to be here today providing humanitarian aid to Grenada through the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center. After the recent destruction left by the Hurricane Beryl, a reminder of the change our world is facing. This humanitarian aid seeks to bring relief in the most urgent areas to help strengthen the ties that unite both countries and benefits the quality of life of the people in Grenada.
Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, in expressing appreciation, assured His Excellency Abdullah Mohammed Al Thani that this aid will go a long way in advancing the recovery efforts on the sister isles following the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl.
And I highlight this event because it demonstrates the commitment of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to fostering deeper bilateral and multilateral relations with CARICOM and with the Caribbean. And so it comes as no surprise to me that the Kingdom would have reached out to provide support to Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in our time of need.
Minister for Foreign Affairs Joseph Andel said the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, through the King Salman Relief Center, has extended a hand to Grenada at this time when such generosity is significantly impactful. He said the donation is not just an act of giving, but rather an affirmation of humanity's capacity to look beyond borders.
This aid will not sit in warehouses or be hidden away behind bureaucracy. Instead, it will find its way into the hands of those whose lives will be made better by this effort. It is a tangible gesture of care that resonates far beyond immediate need. What we witness today is not charity in the traditional sense. It is a message, a declaration that in a world often wounded by differences, there is still room for cooperation grounded in empathy and respect.
Rena P. Thomas, GBN News.
Jordanian helicopters are flying aid into Gaza for the first time since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas started more than a week ago. The aircraft are carrying urgently needed medical supplies to about 1.9 million displaced Palestinians. Aid efforts are critical in Gaza as tens of thousands of Palestinians make their way back to northern Gaza. Let's now speak to our correspondent Nick Beake, who is in Jerusalem for us. Nick, the very fact that so many Palestinians are on the move within Gaza makes this humanitarian exercise even more complicated, doesn't it?
It does, Tanya, and the latest we're hearing is that now more than 370,000 Palestinians have made this journey from the south of the Gaza Strip across the checkpoint to the north. People returning to what remains of their homes, and at the same time aid agencies are saying that they're seeing for themselves the devastation there. They're talking about a real lack of water and electricity. It's worth pointing out that the same aid agencies are saying that in the past 10 days or so, they've really boosted the amount of aid getting into Gaza, coming in on trucks as part of this ceasefire deal. The figure is 600 trucks must be entering the territory every day. We know blankets are coming in, medicine, but still there is a real lack of what is really needed. And at the same time, as you were saying, there's uncertainty about what happens beyond tomorrow. And that's because this ban that the Israeli parliament passed last year on UNRWA, the UN agency looking after Palestinian refugees, it basically won't be able to operate in Israel itself. And the focus tomorrow will be in occupied East Jerusalem, where offices have to close and schools and other sort of medical facilities also, they're supposed to cease with their operations.
Right, and the underlying fragility in the ceasefire and the process itself, how is that being felt at the moment? Is there increased confidence or does it feel very shaky still?
I think, yes, it's one step at a time. We're in the middle of this first 6-week phase during which 33 hostages to be released. We've heard from the Israeli government the day before yesterday saying that of the 26 hostages, of those 33 still to be released in this first initial stage, 18 are alive and 8 are dead. That's what the Israelis are saying after being given information from Hamas. And in terms of what happens next, tomorrow is the next round of an exchange. We're due to see 3 hostages released from Gaza at the same time that dozens of Palestinian prisoners are released from Israeli jail. And again, another exchange on Saturday. So all that seems to be progressing, but this is worth stressing just the first part of this deal, and there are much bigger things ahead, including talks for what happens to Gaza after the eventual withdrawal of IDF forces, which is supposed to take place as part of this ceasefire arrangement.
Well, indeed, and no doubt the magnitude of the task there will dwarf the logistics that are going on at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what we'll see in the coming weeks and months are varying ideas about what happens. We saw President Trump at the weekend. He caused a lot of alarm among Palestinians and also other Arab countries talking when they were listening to what he was saying about his estimation that it's over in Gaza, as he put it, that the place should be cleaned out. And he was suggesting that Egypt and Jordan should be taking in Palestinians so that Palestinians could live in peace, as Mr. Trump put it. That led to accusations that he was talking about ethnic cleansing for all intents and purposes. And so varying visions of what happens next will be put forward. But certainly the Jordanians, for one, were saying that absolutely Palestinians have to be involved in the rebuilding of Gaza. But what's absolutely clear, Tanya, is it's a monumental task. And what we've seen over the past 48 hours, the images of destruction and the accounts that Gazans are giving as they go back to their homes really paints an extremely bleak picture of what the reality is for families there.
We now bring you these international reports.
The fighting in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where M23 rebels appear to have captured almost all of its largest city, Goma. Rwanda's ambassador has said the armed group will continue beyond the city. The scene at the Rwandan border where thousands are seeking safety, closely guarded by rebel forces. It follows 3 days of intense fighting. More than 100 people have been killed and nearly 1,000 wounded in the clashes. Well, as thousands of displaced people head to the border, there are growing calls worldwide for a ceasefire. But despite this, there has been no confirmation from the leaders of the DRC or Rwanda as to whether they will attend an emergency meeting hosted by the Kenyan president. State media in the Democratic Republic of Congo is reporting that President Felix Tshisekedi will not attend. Our senior Africa correspondent Anne Soy has been telling me to what extent the rebel fighters have seized control.
To a large extent, when you look at the city of Goma, they appear to be controlling much of it, including the airport. This is a city of 2 million people. It's the largest city in eastern Congo, and therefore it is a significant step. It's a significant step for them. And we have also seen pictures from the other side of the border in Rwanda of European military contractors. We are told they are from Romania, who are being disarmed and being processed by Rwandese security, and we are told that they are being sent back home. The allegation is that they have been fighting along the Congolese army in support of President Tshisekedi in the east of the country. Now, when you speak to, I've just spoken to the ambassador that you quoted, the Rwandese ambassador to the Great Lakes, Vincent Kagera, and he did confirm that, yes, he thinks the M23 will push on beyond Goma. He called it a stopover for them, probably towards Kinshasa.
And as for those proposed talks between the DRC president and his Rwandan counterpart, there's been a lot of confusing information coming out so far today. And what can you tell us about whether those talks will go ahead or not?
Well, the short answer is that we do not know. What we have heard from the Congolese side is that the President Tshisekedi is not keen to take part, is not going to take part in that effort by the Kenyan President William Ruto, who is himself in Cairo for a 2-day state visit. We also heard from the Rwandan side, though, that they were prepared to take part in those talks. So they seem to be in disarray at the moment. So it is not clear at all if they will happen today. There was a slight chance that they could, because we understood that there was a possibility they could happen virtually. But if President Tshisekedi is not taking part, then we've heard that his Rwandan counterpart will not.
And Anne, we've seen some pictures which we understand to be pictures of private fighters, private soldiers going from the DRC into Rwanda. What can you tell us about that?
Those are what we understand to be private military contractors, allegedly from Romania, who had been backing up the FARDC, the Congolese National Forces, who then surrendered. And so after they surrendered, then all these groups that were supporting them, including the UN peacekeepers and the South African force, which took heavy casualties from this advancement of the M23, they then had to step back, because they said, if the people that we have come to support, the soldiers we've come to support, have surrendered, then this is not our fight. And so we have seen those pictures. They are said to be from Romania, and so they are going into Rwanda and then being sent back home.
And Soy reporting. Well, let's speak now to Greg Ram, who is country director for Save the Children for the Democratic Republic of Congo. He joins us now from Kinshasa. Greg, thank you very much for your time today. Around 3 million people live in Goma, and about half of those are children. What are conditions like for them right now?
Good afternoon, Anita, and thanks for talking with us. The conditions are absolutely horrific. Of those 1.5 million children in and around Goma, about 500,000 had fled from other places, seeking what they thought was a safe place in Goma, and seeking humanitarian assistance. Now they have witnessed some of the most horrific fighting that Eastern Congo has seen in many years. Heavy weapons, machine gun fire, shooting everywhere. It is a horrific situation. Many children lacking shelter, lacking food, water, the basics they need to survive.
And also you have huge concerns about violence against children, assaults against children, and Save the Children saying there actually isn't anywhere safe for them to go. I mean, that is the huge problem. What is the charity trying to do to create some sort of safe places for these children? Greg?
Well, that's what we have. I mean, that's what we have been doing in and around Goma in the displaced camps. Yep.
Sorry, Greg, we thought we'd lost the sound, which is why I'd started to speak again. So please continue.
Sorry, we have a bit of internet challenges here. That's what we've been doing, is establishing safe places for children in the displacement camps, places to regain a bit of childhood. At the moment, what is needed most in Goma is for the conflict to end, for there to be peace, for there to be humanitarian access. So Save the Children and other humanitarian organizations can get back to doing their work to helping protect children in Goma and throughout Eastern Congo.
And obviously, as a charity, you are appealing to all of those with political power to take part in talks, to do whatever it needs to bring some semblance of stability and peace to the situation.
Yes, I only got the last bit of that. Sorry, that cut out. But yes, what we need is everybody involved to find, on behalf of the children in Goma caught in the fighting. We need peace. We need international community. There have been multiple now Security Council meetings asking the warring parties to stop the fighting, to find another solution. And we need the children and their families need electricity back on. They need water. They need to be able to get food. They need to be able to get health care. That's what Save the Children has been doing in Goma and in the surrounding areas, and we need to get back to that work.
In Pokrovsk, eastern Ukraine, these residents are listening to fighting nearby. However, the few people left in the town are defiant but fearful.
The drones are flying, exploding and falling near people. The roofs are shaking. Everything is falling on our heads. Everything is shaking. It's impossible to sleep at night. It's scary. The explosions are so loud.
I'll stay here. So what? If they kill me, they kill me. They won't. Let them try to hit me.
Russian forces are putting pressure on Pokrovsk and have entered the outskirts of a key village. Tactics that are now familiar, say local police.
They don't attack the city itself. They control the entrances to the city. They attack cars. They hit a car belonging to a person with disability. The people were driving nearby. We saw the hit.
In total, Russia launched 57 missiles and drone attacks across Ukraine overnight on Tuesday. Kyiv says 29 were intercepted by air defenses. In Mykolaiv, South Ukraine, at least 2 people were killed. While war rages on, there's talk of peace, but not in the way Ukrainians would like. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky illegitimate and not a man he wants to negotiate with. Zelensky's response was swift. He took to social media and posted, Putin is once again confirmed that he's afraid of negotiations, afraid of strong leaders, and does everything possible to prolong the war. Every move he makes and all his cynical tricks are aimed at making the war endless. Meanwhile, the spectre of the US looms large. The US leader, President Donald Trump, has said he wants the war over in 100 days of him taking office. But what steps the US will take to make that happen remain unclear. What is clear is both leaders are using public statements to express their concerns. Diplomacy by public statements in absence of any actual diplomacy. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
The artificial intelligence race ramped up a notch this week and shows no signs of slowing down. Alibaba has released an AI model it claims surpasses the highly acclaimed DeepSeek V3. The Chinese tech giant announced a new version of its Qwen 2.5 AI model on Wednesday. The timing of the release is unusual as it lands on the first day of the Lunar New Year, when most Chinese people are off work and with their families. It could point to the pressure Chinese AI startup DeepSeek has placed on both overseas rivals and local competition. Alibaba said its latest version of Qwen outperforms DeepSeek, OpenAI and Meta's most advanced open-source AI models. This month's release of DeepSeek's AI assistant has shocked Silicon Valley and caused tech shares to plunge. The firm's supposed low development and usage costs led investors to question huge spending plans by leading AI firms in the US. But DeepSeek's success has also led to a scramble among its domestic competitors to upgrade their own AI models. The predecessor of DeepSeek's V3 model sparked an AI model price war in China after it was released last May. It led to Alibaba's cloud unit announcing price cuts of up to 97% on a range of models. Other Chinese tech companies followed suit, including Baidu and Tencent.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were:
a new agency, Nevis Finance, to drive growth and competitiveness in Nevis's financial services sector.
UWP candidate slams St. Lucia government's healthcare system. Grenada benefits from 5.3 million EC dollars in humanitarian aid from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Internationally, Democratic Republic of Congo rebels reportedly capture most of Goma.
Thank you for listening.